Hello, everybody. Welcome along. It's a long time no see for me. Welcome back to the show. We're doing a wee episode of Tic Talking tonight on the Boys in the Bus podcast. Happy to have you all here. I'm joined tonight by the main man, Phil McGinley, as always, who's here leading us along the way. You know, our righteous leader and all that pish. But yeah, but. Yeah, I'm happy to be back. I do apologise, guys, that I have not been on in a good few weeks. I've just been very busy with work, stuff like that, and obviously over the weekend I was over in Cork, over in the Emerald Isle, seeing all my fellow Fenian brethren. So that was quite nice to go over there and actually experience Ireland and have my first Guinness and all sorts of things like that because quite surprisingly, I've never had a Guinness up until this point in my life. I wanted to save myself right up until what I went to Overan because everybody always says, oh, the Guinness in Ireland is where it's at. Guinness, anywhere else, Scotland, England, America, wherever, is nothing like what you get over in Ireland. And I'm like, cool. I will abstain off a Guinness for the entire time and I'll go over and I'll have my first one in Ireland. I sat there in the bar, ordered my Guinness, took the, stereotypical picture from my Instagram and then put
of
up.
Course, stand up.
And then I took my first sip and I was like, oh.
Lived up to the hype.
That's an acquired taste. you know what I mean? I was like, obviously being a lager drinker and a rum guy my entire life. I've been not my entire life, but but I was like, is this it? Is this what everybody goes on about? I'm like, the only way I could describe it to somebody who's somehow like me never had a Guinness up until now. It's like I'd imagine it's what the colour black tastes like. If you were to describe it that way, is it what the colour black would play taste? I'm a bit like, I mean, it didn't stop me buying a wee like Guinness fucking snow globe and that, just a wee
getting the Christmas spirit already.
Wee bit of memorabilia. I mean, the shop's in Asda doing it, so fuck it, why might as well? It's not even Halloween yet, but why not? But we've got a wee packed show for you tonight, guys. We've tried to make the most of what little infos coming out of Celtic now in Celtic land, because obviously things have gone all quiet over the international break, unsurprisingly. So yeah, but before we get stuck into the meat and potatoes tonight, I would encourage you all to please hit the like button, hit subscribe, comment down below as well. We do appreciate any and all feedback and all engagement. So please do that if you feel free, and you can also become a Boys in the Bus member for $1.99 a month. You don't get any extra stuff like that, unfortunately, guys, but it does help keep Diesel in the bus and keep it going.
You get a Celtic scarf next to your name.
You get a Celtic scarf.
Get your virtual Celtic scarf.
Yeah,
come on.
you know what I mean? If it's good enough for Celtic to sell virtual bits of the pitch, do you remember that? To sell virtual bits of the pitch and do what's it called again? Like bitcoins and shit like that.
Cryptocurrencies and all that.
If it's good enough for them to do that, we can, sell you a wee anagram, wee holographic Celtic scarf next to them for $1.99 a month. You're probably better giving us the money than Celtic now, let's be totally honest. But if you guys feel so inclined to do that, we would very much appreciate it. But Phil, how have you been, mate? Obviously, you've been running the show the entire time. Obviously, I've been away and stuff like that. So how are you feeling? How have you been keeping up? What was something taking a toll on you? Maybe how kind of down in I would say down in the dumps, but how it has been, with the things going on at Celtic. How have you been keeping?
Bored of the board, mate. I'm honestly all boarded out about them at this stage. It's like, can we do a show where we don't need to just rant about the board, really? I mean, I know I'm no fan of them neither, but honestly, it's just like, what more can you say? So thankfully tonight we're not going to have too much of that chat anyway. And it was these international breaks this season, when they've been coming along, usually I've always been like, the way Celtic are playing, I'm kind of glad to get a 2-week break from them, but Scotland, Jesus Christ, that was like watching Celtic, 2 sort of sloppy performances, but hey, they found a way to get a result in the end anyway, just about like Celtic this season. A bit sloppy, but they found a way, and so Scotland there for 2 games, it was exactly like watching Celtic at the moment, so not much different in that case, but happy to be getting back to the real stuff this coming weekend, and delighted to jump on for a wee chat.
You just know that the Celtic board are lining up as soon as Steve Clark gets sacked if we don't, make the World Cup, or we somehow do get the World Cup and then we end up getting absolutely horsed in that he gets his jotters finally. That the Celtic, I'm saying, Stevie, you've got an absolutely horrendous style of play, horrendous tactics. You sit in and do nothing. You know, you waste the potential of some of the greatest talents that the Scotland national team's probably ever had in the last 20 years. Do you fancy doing that at Celtic?
Oh, jeez, please God, no. You know, all the options right now are scary when you think about life after Brendan Rodgers, and that's a scary one. If
I
that
remember,
even,
yeah, I remember it was getting like people online worked out of him saying, "Oh, I'd take Steve Clarke." Obviously, when Anne's left, and I'm just like, please, gee, if there is a God, and you know, we hope there is, that it does everything to power not to give Steve Clarke the job of
Stevie Clarke fits a team like Scotland who are mostly underdogs in most games they play. Same when he was at Kilmarnock, but if he was to come to Celtic where you're expected to win and win with a bit of style every week, oh no, that will not work. That will definitely not work.
I mean, you could argue, you know, I don't think anybody should be underdogs against Belarus besides maybe San Marino, but you know, somehow Scotland made it, you know, seem that way, you know, against the mighty superpower international football that is Belarus, you know, making it. But yeah, we're not here to talk about Scotland tonight. We're here to talk about Celtic, so there is a couple of things on the docket we do need to discuss. First on the agenda tonight, Phil, is that Alistair Johnston is back in training for Celtic. Potential massive boost for the team because, you know, he is my beloved lumberjack, and you know he's been one of my favourite Celtic players ever since he donned the strip, and you know, put in a few big tackles in his first performance against Rangers in that first derby. I mean, thinking back to it though, I mean, to come into a cauldron like that and put out in a defensive performance like that was, you know, brilliant. You know, and he's done. I don't think he's really set a foot wrong really in a Celtic shirt. You know, the entire time he's been here, mate. And you know, I'm very, very looking forward to him coming back and stepping back into the squad. You know, how are you feeling about his imminent return?
Oh, delighted to see him coming back. Again, it's one of those ones, once he's out of the team, I don't think you realise, you know, for the prolonged period. Because Ralston, for the last few years, you know, even under Juranovic, you know, he's always been there, but when Ralston's been in the team, it's only been for a few games here and there. But when it's a prolonged run, obviously, I thought that obviously Kobe Donovan emerged as well. We don't know what this will do for Kobe Donovan's development. Will he go way back down to the B team? Will he stick around the first team squad? I'd like to think that at least he will. And I'd like to think that he'll be ahead of Ralston in the pecking order. But yeah, Johnston getting back in is a huge boost for us. When he went down in that game against Kairat, which, God, seems so long ago now, put it to the back of my mind as much as I can. That was a horrendous night, that one. But yeah, when he went down, you knew right away this is bad, and probably just a victim of the amount of football he's been playing, because he was away in the summer playing for Canada at I think it's the Gold Cup is the tournament that the North American nations play. I think it's that one. He was playing in that. And then he's coming back and he's pretty much right back into action with Celtic. And it's probably just been an accumulation. Hamstring's gone, and you know, at that point, you know, it could be I don't think it was a tear in the end. I think it was a pull. If it was a tear, it would have been even longer. But yeah, it has been a big miss for us. I feel I've said that a few times, talking about the tandem for the first few games of the season with the fullbacks, both sides attacking Conor, with Tierney on the left and Johnston on the right. Lots of people are waxing lyrical, but since Johnston's been out and we've had to go with Ralston and Donovan at times, the Donovan's looked quite good going forward. Ralston just not. I know he tries his hardest, but he just isn't it. But Tierney, I think, has been overloaded on the left-hand side, which is one of the reasons as to why Kieran Tierney's copping so much flack, because we're going down his side a lot, and I think he's just knackered, really. But when it was Johnston and him, loads of people are talking about how great him and Tierney looked getting forward. You know, Tierney got a few assists and one. Johnston scored a good goal against Falkirk. So it'll be good to see him back and we can get up to full speed, because we're going into a very, very crucial next, I think, 7 or 8 games before the next national break. This is a big one, so it's good to have a player like him back, Conor.
Yeah, I mean, he Kenny embodies everything that, you know, I want myself to be. You know, he leaves, you know, he plays with heart in his sleeve, plays for, you know, the crest and the badge and that, and you know, is not afraid to fight the tackles, and you know, he isn't afraid to get a wee bit, you know, feisty with the opposition, and you know, I think it's a key thing that we do lack. To be totally honest, we do lack that kind of meaner, I think, element in their game. It's something we can be quite naive, like especially when players are, try to take the pass and dive and stuff like that, and and then to try and also get physical whereas like we tend to like back off, and it's something that like I'm not saying we should be like a Rangers or a Jose Mourinho type style team where we're dirty and stuff like that, and we resort to fisticuffs every now and again. But I do like the fact that he is a player who isn't willing to back down for certain things, and obviously he's pedigree as well for putting balls in the box, getting assists, even scoring goals and that as well. Like I think was it last season where he went on like a tiny like a minuscule scoring spree. I think he was the top scorer in the league like for like maybe like 1 or 2 weeks or something like that. I think it was maybe
I
last
remember
season.
maybe in the season before that back. I remember him getting a few. I think was it Brendan's first season back. I think there was a wee run where he scored against St Mirren and up at Ross County. And there's definitely a repeat, but this season he scored against Falkirk last season. I think he netted one against St Mirren. I think he's got a good record against St Mirren in Paisley. But yeah, no, he's prone to getting forward and getting a goal here and there. So yeah, he provides a threat. And as James McEwen's comment on the screen says, that's something as well. We've talked about the right hand side, the right wingers, how we've been really weak on the right hand side. We AJ being back, although he said here for Yang and Forrest to do better. I mean, I hope it's not Yang or Forrest that are starting, but yeah, but either way, he will support on the right hand side whoever does get picked there. Because again, I mean, Donovan's still got a long way to go. There's definitely something there, but it's still a long way off. And was really nurturing Donovan, and I say Ralston, he's only just there as a bit part player now. He'll fill in here and there, but he's not it going forward. So yeah, hopefully Johnston coming back can improve the right hand side for us in general.
Yeah, it's good that you've actually mentioned Donovan because he brings us kind of on to like the next point on this is like, could this potentially hamper Kobe Donovan's development, in this first team because he has been, I think, left out a couple of times over the last few weeks when we were playing stuff like that, just randomly out of the blue. He was firing Ralston back in there as soon as he was fit, and Kobe Donovan done absolutely nothing wrong. I think to deserve that. I think he's impressed so far. He's been getting plaudits. He's really stepped up to the mark, and he's done absolutely everything we potentially could have asked for, like a young lad coming up for the B team and stepping in that position when it was vitally needed. Because bear in mind, Ralston was out and Johnson was out, so it was kind of just him on his own try to hold fort in that position. And he took it like a duck to water to me, to be totally honest. He played very, very well. And the thing with Alistair Johnston coming back is obviously when Alistair Johnston is fit back up to speed, he is going to be the starting right back.
Yeah,
a billion percent. Like I don't think there's any chance for Kobe Donovan to take that position off him, to be honest. But when Alistair Johnston is up to speed, he's going to be starting. So who then goes to be the secondary right back, and who goes into third place? Because I've got this funny feeling that he's going to just give it to Ralston for whatever reason. I mean, Kobe Donovan's looks good going forward, looks good putting balls in the box. He's very good defender as well. He's a big, strong lad, and he's still got development to come as well. He's only going to grow. He's only going to get more used to the game and stuff like that. So, I personally, mate, I don't want to see Ralston coming and stepping into that secondary right back position. I want him to be put back to third and be a bit part player, in my eyes, because I feel like he, a lot of people like Ralston, right? And I know that David, who's part of the podcast, so he's got a little bit of an affinity for Ralston, but Ralston's never been good enough for me. He's never been good enough for me. I know that he scored that goal against Ross County in the last minute, and that is a memory of a game I'll hold near and dear to my heart forever because of the way that it was so dramatic and it was brilliant, and he scored a really good goal against Hibs as well. And there was a period of time last season where I think it was against Hibs as well, where he won a tackle he shouldn't necessarily been able to win. He won it, we then broke, and then we scored from that. It was brilliant, but his deficiencies for me are just so there for the world to see that he's just not good enough. He runs like the pitch is made out of custard. He's so slow. His defensive, capabilities can only get him so far. He makes mistakes. When the ball comes to his feet in a tight area, which is, how we usually play from out the back, he looks like somebody set a fire in his trousers. Like, he looks like he doesn't know what to do with it. his balls as well. Like a lot of people used to credit, as the balls he'd whip it in the box and that. And I feel like everyone I've seen recently, he's either just like completely overshot it, he's skied out the pitch, or just put out for like a throw into somebody, And it's been a hard watch, to be honest, seeing Ralston, and obviously he's getting criticised for the performances when he's came on for Scotland as well. And and that's him playing in a more defensive type of style, which is something he should be, all over. And he seems to just not be up to the mark. I mean, this is a guy who failed on loan at teams like St Johnston.
That's right.
He was seen as not good enough. And was it Dundee or Dundee United? Was it
Dundee United when they were in
Dundee
the
United?
Championship?
So if he's failing at those levels, I know we're going back years, but if he's still failing at those levels, I don't think it's fair on him as well to thrust him back into being the second to Alistair Johnston. When it's no fair to Kobe Donovan either. Like let's be brutally honest. Like Kobe Donovan is, I think miles better than Anthony Ralston, than he has progression him. You can see there's a lot there to work on. You can see that he is only going to go up and up and up potentially with his career and with his abilities. So for me, mate, I don't know about you, but I really don't want to see Kobe Donovan get put back on the back burner and Ralston just slot right back in there as soon as Johnston's back ready and fit.
Yeah, I think we've got to be looking to, nurture Donovan, to say there's something there. He's definitely shown from the few appearances he's made that, I think it was against, was it Red Star Belgrade? The best compliment you could pay him was he didn't look out of place. He didn't look intimidated by playing in a European fixture. And yeah, he was comfortable. So we always go on about, how our B team players tend to maybe get a wee flirtation with the first team, but they just don't go anywhere. They let their contract run down and then they end up signing for a Aston Villa reserves or something like that. We've seen it over the years. Daniel Kelly, I think, was the last one, went in Millwall in the Championship, and then you've had Ben Gannon Doak as he is now. We obviously the whole story with him. There's been a few different, a couple of guys went to Bayern Munich and all that, but we keep on saying, the B team is pointless and the level they're playing at, they don't seem to get anywhere. Here's a chance. So we have to be looking at the future here. And on the infamous minutes, obviously, that came out last week, Conor, one of the things that was highlighted is the club are talking about how difficult it is now to sign Champions League level players, right? Of course, they put that out there. But hey, they've got a plan. They want to nurture their own Champions League level players with the new Barrowfield complex and whatnot. So here is a chance where a youngster that's came through, we've got to try and nurture them. We've got to try and give them first team opportunities from time to time. Whenever Johnston can't play, it needs to be Donovan. He is the future. Obviously, he's only still 18, 19 years old. It's like Ralston's had his chance. He's done his bit, and nobody will ever fault his work ethic at all because he always gives his best. But I say Donovan looks like he's got something, and the only way we're going to get the best out of him and turn them into a player is by giving him more first team opportunities. So it can't be a case of he just disappears into the ether now, and then the next time we hear about him, his contract's expired and he's slipped out the back door to sign for Watford or something like that. It's like, no. We need to, develop these boys. If the club are very, high on the whole new training complex they built, then they need to utilise it. They can't go and spend all that money on it and then not develop the players from it. So yeah, I'd like to think that Donovan this won't stifle his development too much over the rest of the season.
Yeah, I really do hope so. Obviously, Liam's in the chat, so our Canadian is in here. He's obviously he must have his ears must have perked up as soon as he started speaking about Alistair Johnston coming back, and he's jumped right on to come and have a wee chat with us. But I'm very looking forward to seeing the return of Alistair Johnston, because I feel like he is a crucial part of that, the Celtic side, Celtic defence, and I think he'll also take the workload off of Kieran Tierney as well, like we were saying before, and hopefully it'll help our our attacks going forward, because that is something that we I think are desperately needing, because we couldn't be shooting fish in a barrel now, to be honest, with Celtic. But it's I hope that obviously it's the international break has given us a chance to actually somehow locate in the boot room inside Celtic Park our shooting boots, and hopefully they're getting laced up and ready to go for this weekend. But but it looks like as one door opens for another player to return, another closes.
Yes.
It's like the sun could creep out from the side of the clouds at Celtic Park, and the sun could shine down on us, and then what do you know? It's a torrential downpour 5 seconds later, because that's kind of just the way it goes.
I believe the saying goes, "Giveth with one hand, taketh away with the other." Because yes, one injury apparently getting reported, which isn't great news.
Thank you, Father Phil, for that. But there is now reports coming out that Daizen Maeda has returned to Scotland with a knock, picking up with the Japan national team on international duty. He didn't feature for his country at all. There's been no official word from the club yet as of that. I'd imagine with the press conference coming out on Friday that Brendan Rodgers will probably discuss that. We've got to sit here with our fingers, toes, bollocks crossed that everything's all fine. But the rumour is that he is potentially out with a knock, injured. So that leaves the space, I think, for Tynecastle or Balakwisha to kind of take up that position. I mean, by God, if I go into this game at the weekend on Sunday and I see either James Forrest or Yang starting, I think that I'm just done. Like I'm
you tapping out already?
I'm just done. I'm just done. I'm just done with it too. I mean, look, I know James Forrest's a legend and all that, boyhood hero, all that stuff. He's been a fantastic servant in the club, but expecting him to kind of take on that workload and that, if Daizen Maeda who's covering that position, or having Yang coming in, who I think has heads out the door. He was denied that move at the final minute, and he's came in and he scored that goal against Falkirk, against Partick Thistle, and look, he didn't even celebrate it. He just looks down in the dumps, looks like he's in the mires, and I don't know what we're going to do with that position going forward. But obviously, the discussion about Daizen Maeda is his form this season has not been good, and obviously it came out in the press that he was kind of promised a move. He was, kind of looking for a move, and that was obviously like the rug was pulled out from under him, saying he couldn't go. He probably had discussions, or they lined up with clubs and representatives, stuff like that, and he wanted to go, but obviously he's now staying. I know the form has been great. It seems like he's kind of back to bald version of Daizen, Daizen, version 0.1, where, he looks like a kid kicking a balloon around about a party, and, he's not, doing what he did last season, where he was popping up with goal after goal after goal, and absolutely, he's still, the one thing you'll never be counting on, even if he is, like, wanting to leave, and that is, like, he does still run his absolute arse off, and he still tries, and that, I think that's a really important factor of him, is, like, whenever he doesn't play, even if he isn't contributing in terms of goals and assists, his work rate going forward and defensively, I think, is such a key point for us. I've seen him. I've seen him that he could be up there, try to start an attack. The opposition could nick the ball, try and do a counter attack, and somebody's kind of charging towards their goal, maybe come down the wing or something, and you'll just see him like a flash of lightning out of nowhere, just nip the ball back off the attacking player and then recycle it and start another attack.
Yeah.
I know he hasn't scored a lot and he hasn't necessarily been performing greatly. I know he got that crucial winning goal against Motherwell, and by God, that was brilliant. And he did look, more enthused. He did look rejigged. He did look happy and was celebrating that, which is, something we all want to see. But Phil, for me, mate, I think it could be like a potential massive blow for Celtic if Daizen Maeda is out for any length of time, really.
Yeah, fingers crossed when Brendan sits down on Friday, he can confirm that it's just maybe one game he might miss. It's just a precautionary thing, because I know there'll be some fans out there on the darkest corners of Twitter and Celtic Twitter saying, he's been shite this season, it's no big loss. And it's like, here, man, look who the options are if he doesn't play. Because right now he's been filling in on the right wing, and last week against Motherwell, he looked a bit like uncomfortable there and whatnot. But the options, as you say, James Forrest, who club legend, he's done it all. We can never have a fault James Forrest, but he's 34 years old and it's 2025. we shouldn't be relying on James Forrest to drag us through games at this stage. He's fine coming on as an impact sub. I think some of the performances he's had coming off the bench this season have actually been pretty good and have impacted the game positively. But when he's been starting games where he's had to literally start a game because he was the only option, no, that ain't it. It's like talking about Ralston earlier on. That's just not it. And Yang, I don't even get me started on all that nonsense. Not a chance. I want to see Yang there neither. Balakisha moves over to the right. We haven't been convinced by him up to now. So again, it's like it's a real problem. So hopefully Maeda, he really is the best option right now on that side, because again, just going by the reason why he didn't get a move in the first place, because we so badly mishandled the transfer window, which we've talked to death. As a board of the boards now. But yeah, we're literally in a position where he is the best option in there. So fingers crossed that if the when Brendan sits down on Friday, we get a good update that it's just a precautionary thing. And hey, it might just be a case of he's actually ready to go on Sunday. He'll be fine. It'll just to say they just didn't want to risk him for Japan, maybe just a light knock in training. But if he comes back and we get news that he's out for weeks, oh Jesus, this is not ideal given the run of games we've got coming up, Conor.
Nah, it is not ideal. Obviously, we have to hope that Daizen Maeda's superhuman genes kick in, that saved him for that injury last season. Obviously, he was deemed to be out for, I think, was it 7 to 8 weeks, and he came back after a couple of weeks, and we're just like, how have you fucking done that? And he was just running about, still, doing the exact same thing, like he had never been injured, which is, I think, a testament to the professionalism and obviously the good nick he keeps selling. Like, I've never seen a better, I think, athlete at Celtic, for as long as I can remember. Like I think it does kind of come down to the Japanese thing as well, where like they're very, very professional. They do look after themselves. They watch what they eat. Daizen Maeda's not going to be pictured up some side alley on a Saturday night munching a kebab 10 pints deep. You know what I mean? Like, he's more than likely going to be sitting.
Remember Scott Brown was sat on the pavement munching a kebab?
That's what I was referring to, mate. You know what I mean? Like, I think Daizen's probably going to be sitting in his Zen garden, burning incense and, just like preparing himself and,
meditating.
And maybe dyeing his hair again or something. I don't know, but like, I just hope to God that obviously he isn't out for a lengthy period of time. I hope he isn't out at all, but I hope that if he is out, I hope it's like very, very short period, but no one else will probably be out for like 7 weeks, and this will be the one time where he is actually out for 7 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could just see it happen, couldn't you? Like, when we are, so neck and neck with Hearts and Rangers are like down in the doldrums and not a threat at all, and aren't going to be a threat at all this season. I don't think it's too early to say that, to be totally honest. But only that could happen to us. And the thing, obviously, you had to comment before about the minutes to meeting thing. Obviously, just quickly on this is like the board are saying, oh yeah, it's hard to attract Champions League level players, so we'll try and get these in. Do you know what attracts Champions League level players? Actually getting the fucking Champions League for a start.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Actually qualifying for the tournament. That's a big bonus. Also, when you regularly qualify for when you should qualify against teams of a much, much lower stature, which we should have been doing, the teams that have put us out over the years in the Champions League, never in a month of Sunday should have been putting us out.
No, of
never.
course.
Never. Unless there was some chicanery going on where it was completely out of our hands and there was brown envelopes passed to people and blah, 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 blah. If that was what happened, then you deserve to go out because it's against you. The odds are against you. But on the day, playing football, the teams that put us out in the Champions League of the years should never have been putting us out. So that's millions upon millions of pounds that Celtic haven't earned because they failed to invest properly, they failed to get the players in on time and qualify for the Champions League. So we could have, theoretically, in some alternate reality, even more money in the bank that we have now. And we wouldn't have to be sitting here talking about, oh, we tried to get over the line, but we put it in like £1.5 million players valued at £6 million and shit like that. Like, it would have just been done. So that is a thing where like if I was sitting in that room, I would have just told the Celtic board do and absolutely take a flying fuck to themselves because they clearly do not.
Do you know that in that minutes as well, at one point, then the first question they were asked by the Celtic fan collective was about what is the vision for the club, and they talked about how they want to be world class at everything they do, and they listed things that would deem them world class, and one of them was participating in the UEFA Champions League. And it's like, well, we're not participating in that this season, guys. So there you go.
Like it's there's this kind of thing in football, right, where I'm having this discussion with my mate, right? I think football's the only kind of sport in the world, or the only kind of like industry in the world, right, where you can fail upwards. Like
Yeah.
you could be the absolutely shittest fucking player to ever walk the earth. You'll somehow always get a move. You'll somehow always get somebody paying you more money than you or I or anybody in this comment section will ever see in their entire lives, week on, week out, to go and play football for a team. And after you've done that, doesn't matter how bang average you were, looking at you, Micah Richards, you'll get a job commentating on Sky, BT, CBS Sports alongside legends of the game like Thierry Henry and stuff like that, and just get to sit there and chat absolute shite and get paid an absolute truckload doing so. And you look at it with the boards as well, like managers as well, fucking fail consistently, and they get jobs still get jobs. You know, I mean, I know he's doing really well with who is it? He's at the now? Is it Coventry? Frank Lampard's at Coventry.
Frank Lampard, yeah.
Like, fair enough, they're doing really well now, and they're more than likely going to get into the Premier League because they'll probably qualify for the Championship. But he was coaching at Chelsea. He was so bad. You know, Steven Gerrard as well was. He's very topical now. Obviously, got a move with Aston Villa off the back of the COVID title. Was then deemed potentially the worst manager in Aston Villa's history. Gets a job over in Saudi, earning millions. You know, and he'll get another job again. Michael Beale, one of the worst managers this league's ever seen, gets a fucking Sunderland job after
that's what he did. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like guys like that, fucking Ten Hag, and you know, guys like that, and it's just it's the merry-go-round. Football is just I think somebody needs to just study it. You know what I mean? Because how people, and if we're working in a job or any other industry, and you fail so consistently, whether it's job to job or project to project, and you fail consistently, you will be shown the door, and you'll never get a job in that industry again because you have a black mark against your name that you are fucking clueless and you have no idea what you're doing. But in football, you're almost rewarded for it. I mean, look at Russell Martin.
Russell Martin.
Look at Russell Martin. He did okay at Southampton. Do you know what I mean? Got them up there. Got one of the worst league, league runs in Premier League history with Southampton. Then gets a Rangers job. You know, and then it's been one of the worst fucking managers they've ever had their entire 12-year existence. For then, and I can guarantee you, within the next 6 months, maybe
he'll walk into a championship team or something.
He'll have a job at like Blackpool or something like that, or Watford or Norwich or something like that, getting paid championship wages down south, which are a lot probably higher than what we can offer up here.
Yeah,
you know, and it's just an absolute, you know, quagmire the way that the world is. But it's just a wee rant I wanted to go on because it's a topic that I just feel like kind of defies all belief, mate. To be honest, I have this conversation with my mate all the time, but like, I don't know about you, but it just boggles my mind.
Aye, and you're right to draw the comparison to the Celtic board, but it's like for all the things that they do wrong, they still keep on falling up the way essentially. So
they keep getting fucking raises every year. Do you know what I mean? They just keep getting more money. I think Michael Nicholson has doubled or tripled his wages in the last year alone.
Oh, he doesn't shrug his shoulders, apparently.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, all I said is just sit in that chair, shrug his shoulders, and money bags fall for the ceiling in Celtic Park. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. Well, speaking of money bags, actually, lead us on to our next topic because there's new merch dropping this week, Conor. New merchandise. Get your wallets out, mate. Here it comes. The more Adidas merch is on the way. Oh, here we go.
I know. So you're going to move on to the next topic, which is, you know, something we've got lined up. So, yeah, more merch for you to spend your hard-earned cash on. Oh, look at them. Would you know, just love to be seen in them walking down the Gallagate towards Celtic Park? Like, you wouldn't get the piss taken at you at all, would you? You know, I mean, look, I would say that though. They're arguably better than the ones that I've got sitting there. I've got the Sambas that came out. Was it Sambas? Was it the Gazelles? I can't remember, but they're sitting there.
Oh, it was a Gazelles, I think it was. Aye,
and it's and they're kind of like the cream ones with the green on the brown side, but they've got the badge on the tongue. which I
Yeah.
think just ruins, I think, the look of the shoe. Like I don't want to be walking about with a pair of trainers with the club symbol on the tongue of my shoe,
Yeah.
because I think it's a wee bit cringe. Not gonna lie, I've worn it in my games before, but it's because they were
I
a
just want a
Christmas.
game though.
No,
I
no,
mean,
but
it's
by the way, I never bought them. By the way, they were a gift. Like
okay.
I never bought them, they were a gift. So like I've saved my neck in that regard by not being a hypocrite. But it's yeah. So Adidas Special are bringing out a lot of collaborations with multiple clubs. I think Aston Villa's one, we're one, I think Leeds is one. Obviously showing some of the merchandise there. So this isn't just regular Adidas merch, right? This is Adidas Special, which is like the kind of upper market, higher priced items that Adidas have got as a brand. So obviously the pictures are doing the rounds there. I can go back to see the one that's like the windbreaker.
Yep.
Right. So obviously the prices are going to be a lot higher than the usual stuff that the Robin Bastards put out in the club shop. So you guys were prepared to pay about 250 quid for that thing there on the screen?
Jesus.
Because that is the rumour prices of what the merch is going to be with the Adidas Special. Now, I like a lot of the Adidas Special stuff. I don't personally own any because they're very, very limited pieces. So I think the stuff that we're releasing and all the other clubs are bringing out, they're kind of limited pieces. They're kind of like show pieces. It's very much like I don't want to say it's like a piece of art, but because it's so going to be limited in quantity, that people are going to buy them, and then resellers are going to then come and cap on that, and then put double the price on it, and people are going to buy it. Now that's more than likely going to be so for like the Leeds stuff and Aston Villa and stuff like that. We've had the discussions on here before. As much as I like some of the stuff they're bringing out, by the looks of it, like some of it does look very smart, right? And if things are all rosy in the garden, I would more than likely try and get myself one or two of the pieces, right? But I cannot, in good conscience, give money to Celtic now, or even like Adidas. Obviously they get majority of the cash. But
Especially the prices that they're talking about. Jesus Christ.
I think the shoes themselves will probably go for like 150, 200, 250, something like that. I mean, you could get a pair of Jordans or something for that, or you could probably get two pairs of decent shoes for that price. You know what I mean? Like, it's absolute obscene. And now, this has obviously been something that's been in the works for a while.
Yeah.
Obviously, like Adidas, we got the new deal with them, and this is probably coming in part of being in the elite bracket.
All the clubs that are in that deal are all launching on the same day. So I know the Celtic board can't do right for wrong at the moment, but Adidas are basically forcing this upon them because, hey, you signed this contract here, Celtic, so you are now obligated to push this stuff. Say Newcastle, Aston Villa, they're all launching it on the 16th as well. So it's not just a Celtic thing.
I know. The thing is, I do actually feel kind of sorry for like the social media guys. So you're quite pally with the guy who runs it or is a part of it at least. Like these guys have to keep like part of your job doing social media, because I did that before. It's like you have to keep track of the comments, keep track of the feedback, and say that as soon as that hits launch, right? Every comment under is like, fuck off, get to fuck, we're not buying it, get the fuck off, like fuck the board and all that. And
the
these guys
Ghostbusters symbol with Peter Lawwell's face behind it. Aye.
Like it's I feel sorry for them because they're only just doing their job, you know what I mean? And they're the ones that are going to be having to cop the flack and wake up in the morning to about 20,000 notifications on their phone for the social media accounts saying like, stick up your fucking ass, you bastards, and all this stuff. And it's quite hard on them, but obviously I don't think Celtic can obviously not they can't like shadow launch it, because obviously they would then maybe break terms of contract with Adidas doing that, even though this is coming out at a time where Celtic fans are sick of the constant merch launches. They're sick of the constant greed. And if you think what they're doing now is like greedy with like 4 or 5 kits a season and all the collections and blah blah blah, wait till this comes out. Like if you think I'm kidding on about the prices, I'm probably not being dramatic enough, because this is like something like this like Adidas on its own, massive brand, stuff like that, sell their things for like quite high prices depending on what it is, especially if it's football related gear. this stuff is like a rung on the ladder above that. Like this is seen as proper quality merchandise. Like obviously the Gallagher brothers are all in on the Adidas Special thing. I think they've got a partnership with them to release collections and stuff like that. And you know, it's something that's gonna just come with like a ton of backlash, to be honest. And like, I like me, I don't know if you're the same, but I'm on like a ban now to buy anything for Celtic now. Like I told you, they're not seeing a single penny for me now. Like I don't care that you know stuff's coming up. You know, Christmases, birthdays, whatever. You know, even if like the new strips were to go on sale for a tenner tomorrow, like I couldn't justify if I gained them any money, mate. Now I'm maybe going to be a bit of here. If things pick up and whatever for whatever reason, you know, in some alternate reality, which probably is going to be this one, the Celtic board get their finger out and actually do some decent business in January, I may reconsider it. That's just a maybe, Peter Lawwell. So don't count your chickens yet. Ain't going to get my money. But yeah, like it's, you know, it's just another way that the board are showing the greed, and I think are showing the kind of contempt they've got for the support. I mean, I know their hands are kind of tied for this because Adidas do require them as part of the contract to launch these all on the same day, along with all the other clubs and that. Otherwise, they're probably breaking terms of contract. But it's just, for me, it's going to just leave a sour taste in the mouth in me and like many other supporters are now, when you can't even, you know, bring yourself to discuss and give us feedback to an organised meeting that you wanted to organise to have a meeting with the supporters, have a sit down with them and, you know, try and have a bit of a, you know, a conversation. And the best you can do is sit and shrug your shoulders and just say, we don't know why we do these things. We don't know. We just, do you know what it is? I think it is just like, they just do it because they can.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think there's any logic to it. I mean, I know they're bastards and charlatans and they hate us, but I don't think they're sitting there like, you know, with this big around this big oak table in Celtic with a big, you know, projection board saying, how can we fuck over the fans today? I don't necessarily think it goes that deep, but what I do think it is they just go, we just do it because we can. But I think that's arguably worse because it means they're not even really thinking about the supporters' reaction, whether it be negative or positive. They just do it because they're like, well, why not? Like, I mean, we're still the Celtic board. Your job security's still there at the end of the day. And I feel like they just feel like they're like an immovable object. Like, obviously, you and Liam discussed on Friday night, like this immovable object that has just cemented themselves, you know, to the club. I think Peter Loyal's got his arse super glued to that seat in his office, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Like,
he's going nowhere.
Like if you tried to pull him off, it looked like something out of that Ed Gein monster to fucking TV show on Netflix now. Do you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, mate. Like for me, it's just it's coming at the wrong time. It's coming at a time where things are going up and up and up price wise. I mean, I was having a conversation today. Like I was at the centre and. This is a full plays rant about the state of the UK now, but the prices for a fucking beef Wellington at Marks and Spencer's for this upcoming Christmas.
Oh, for Marks and Spencer's, no wonder it was expensive.
I know. But do you want to take a guess? Do you want to take a guess how much a beef Wellington's going to cost you?
Oh God, M&S. I don't know, probably more than 20 quid. I'll go for something like that. Just to see, you know, because it's M&S.
It's 120 quid for.
Oh my God, a lot more than 20 quid then. Jesus Christ.
For a fucking Colin Caterpillar dessert that serves about 3 or 4 people, it's about 40 quid, mate.
Oh Jesus.
It's about 40 quid, mate. The nation, not just football, the nation is run by money grubbing, hungry bastards who hate you, who hate the working class, who hate us, and Celtic's no different. But to me, this is just another like axe to grind that the Celtic support is going to have, you know, against the board. I mean, look, it's probably going to sell out. I'm not gonna lie. If it's no for us, it'll be for collectors and that who want to just get the merch and resell it. It'll probably sell it because it's such limited pieces. But for me, mate, I just can't be bothered with another fucking merch launch now when we don't even know what's happening at the club or behind the scenes, or we don't even know what we're going to play like on Sunday, mate. We don't know what Celtic's going to turn on Sunday. You know, we normal seasons we know that Celtic are going to come out and try and play some decent football, more than likely score a couple of goals, and we'll have a couple of, you know, brilliant performances for some players. We don't even know if that's going to happen, mate.
And that was a party political broadcast by Conor Carr, everybody, as Regan sees in the chat, on yourself, Conor. But yes, I agree with pretty much everything you said there. The timing of this is obviously bad. Everything that I say, the Celtic board can't do right from wrong right now, even though they're going to have to launch this because it's part of their deal. There probably has a part of them like, oh shit, this is going to go really bad. They know what's coming. They say the guys who work in the social media team are probably going to have to get the flame shields up in preparation for this because it's going to be ugly. It really is for them. But yeah, that's another collection out after the Henrik Larsson one that launched a few weeks ago. And by the way, just on the collection that's coming out, there was a question that was asked from James McCune saying, why is John Collins in the photos? So apparently the reason why he's there, and this is very, very clever, I'll give them kudos on this one. He apparently was the first professional player to score a goal wearing Adidas Predators. So that is why John Collins apparently is in the photos randomly. Either that or they're trying to prepare us for the idea of him being the Celtic manager because he's all suited and booted with the official tie on. Did you notice as well? But yeah, I believe it's because he's the first professional player that scored a goal with Adidas Predators. Is why John Collins is in the photos, and he probably also did like 50 sit-ups in the centre circle with his tap half as well as part of the photo shoot because he's John Collins and that's what he does.
Aye, I mean that's a quite interesting wee tidbit, mate. To be honest, I never knew that. I feel like I learned something new with you on every single one of these shows. Every day's a school day on the Boys and the Bus podcast. You won't get this anywhere else. So,
passing the movement, the tempo. Yes, James McCune, passing movement tempo. So
be sure to hit subscribe, guys, if you want your weekly instalment of Phil's fantastic Celtic facts. That are more than likely going to become they're already a staple of the show, to be honest, because you just seem to pull for this absolute like wealth of knowledge that you have. Either that or somewhere in the background, your who said you've got this just giant library just stacked full of Celtic facts and that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah. But moving on, we have a huge month coming up ahead as we get back to normality. So we've got an intense run of games coming up between now and the next international break. When is the next international break? Just out of curiosity.
Middle of November, and that's the last one until March.
So there's a fucking another one in November.
Yeah, the last two qualifiers for Scotland against Greece and Denmark, and then the World Cup draws in December. And if Scotland are in the playoffs, they'll have to play it in March next year. But yeah, Scotland will be in the very least the playoffs. So it's November then March. So we've got one more to get over, and then that's it.
Right, lovely. I fucking hate the international break, but you just like honestly, like I feel like see after I know it was like such a nip and tuck game against Motherwell, right? But that could have been something to give us a bit of momentum to launch off of. Could have been a bit of a launch pad or something. And for the international break to just go boom, take us right off that, and it's like you could honestly picture us going out this Sunday against Dundee and as Dundee were playing, isn't it? I'm not wrong on that.
As Dundee at Dens Park, yeah.
Correct, right, okay. You could see us coming out and just playing absolute, I don't know if you've heard this term that's been coined by all the kids now, absolute haram ball.
Haram ball, yeah, I've heard haram ball, yeah.
Some absolute prime Rogers haram ball against Dundee the weekend. Like you could see it, but I feel like these international breaks, like they seem to always either come. They've came at the best time, the first one, but the second one, I feel like it's kind of came at the worst time because we are, we were kind of gaining a bit of momentum. It would seem, to be honest, and the teddy bears continue to absolutely crumble. But yeah, it's coming at another bad time. But before that, we've got a top of the table clash against Hearts at Tynecastle on the horizon upcoming, which is something that I'm excited for, but also equally petrified for, to be honest, because Derek McInnes on his own at whatever club he's been at, whether it was Aberdeen or Kilmarnock, has been a relative thorn in the side of Celtic ever since he, kind of started playing us. And I know that against Aberdeen we were, I'd say kind of had his number a bit, but with Kilmarnock, especially in Brendan's first season, they were a real sticky wicket to try and play. Obviously, they put us at the cup early doors. They had that draw at Celtic Park. I think it was maybe January, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe January, maybe a bit before that. And just His Hearts team are just absolutely flying now, and they don't seem to be dropping any steam now, mate. To be totally honest, and that's something that I don't think bodes well for the old Celtic. If I'm being brutally honest, because we are not up to our best, putting it mildly. To be honest, but yeah, mate. How are you feeling about the upcoming clash with Hearts? I mean, for me, it's, I don't know. I know Hearts have kind of gotten lucky a couple of games this season. Obviously, it was a game against Motherwell. They went 3-0 down, got 3-3. The game against Hibs, the Edinburgh Derby, I heard that Hearts were pretty rank, and they were very, very lucky to win it. The Hibs were actually the better team, but that is, and say it in hushed whispers, that's a champion's mentality to win when you're not playing at your best against your rivals as well, especially. It's just it's not coming at a great time, is it, mate?
No, it's not. I'm the same as you. I'm excited for it, but equally quite terrified because again, right now we just don't know what Celtic's going to turn up. We could come back from this national break and maybe find our spark. We could come back and it could just be the exact same for the next few games. Just very laboured, really slow. Apparently, Celtic haven't scored a goal in the first 20 minutes of a game all season, which is just really, really depressing. Ideally, we're looking to sort of like come with the traps flying. Tynecastle was a strange one because, again, I've said this before, on paper, you look at the fixture, you go, a trip to Tynecastle, it's never an easy one. But Celtic's record at Tynecastle and sort of like the last decade or so is actually pretty good. And sometimes when we've went through there, we've absolutely battered them. Like, we've beat them convincingly. And then you'll get the ones like a couple of seasons ago, the one that got Brendan in a bit of trouble for speaking out about the VAR, where we just didn't get going. So right now we're in that position where you just don't know how we're going to approach that game. I mean, it's a huge game. Liam has said it plenty of times on Friday nights with me. Brendan in 2025 has failed massively when it comes to big must-win games. The last time we did get a must-win victory was against Young Boys of Bern way back at the start of January in the Champions League. They got us through to the next round. But every other game since then, we've came up short, and it's like we've drew 0-0 with a Russell Martin Rangers side, papped out the Champions League by Kairat, lost the cup final to Aberdeen, couldn't beat Barry Ferguson's
Shockingly
Rangers.
bad Aberdeen,
Who've just been regressing all through 2025, and we managed to lose the cup final to them. We couldn't beat Barry Ferguson's led Rangers team neither. And it's like, well, this game against Hearts now, as much as a lot of fans are still like, they'll just do an Aberdeen, they'll fall away. For the time being, they're still very much in it. And if we get to January and Hearts are still in and around the top end of the table and Celtic and Rangers are still struggling away, as Terry's highlighted, this Tony Bloom guy, he does not mess around. He will take a calculated risk. He will throw some money at it. So we need to go to Tynecastle and we have to win. Like, coming away, maybe even if we lose on the day, but there's still a long way to go in the season. No, we need to prove a point. Because, 2025, we have been awful in big game occasions, so we need to find something. And as I say, I'm excited, but equally terrified right now. And the Dundee game and Sturm Graz before that, those two games will give us a bit of a clue as to how Celtic are going to approach it, I think. And that's another thing as well, Conor. Hearts don't have European football. We've got to play a European game a few days before. Luckily, it's in Glasgow. We're not travelling anywhere. It's in Glasgow, but it is still a game. There's a lot on the line for us in that game as well, because our European hopes are hanging by a thread right now after the loss to Braga.
Aye, true. So we're playing Sturm Graz in Glasgow, so hopefully that all goes well. But obviously there is the chance of said European hangover kicking in, mate. Brendan does need to, earn his corn. He needs to. I think we're back in a kind of an area where he does need to win the support back over again. To be totally honest, there has been a lot of discussions where he has failed, I think, spectacularly in his last few must-win games. Obviously, I think every game against Rangers is a must-win. I know we can talk about the ones of last season that were dead rubbers. I mean, fair enough, we can all sit here and laugh back, after all said and done when the league's wrapped up in that, and just say, it's dead rubbers, so he's a fuck. But it's never nice to lose to your rivals, especially when your rivals are in such a bad state of affairs, and especially against such a lecherous little creature like Barry Ferguson as well. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Brendan, for me, he's got a lot to. There's a lot on the line, to be honest. because we've got the game against Sturm Graz, must win. Game against Hearts, must win. Semi-final in November against Rangers, also must win.
Yeah.
He's got 3 massive games coming up in less than a month, which are all must win for me, mate. And if he doesn't, for me, I can't sit here and say that I would want him gone, right? I would want him gone, right? I would be completely done with him, but I don't think necessarily that should be acted upon, and that he should, be sacked. Because if we look at the alternatives to who the hell would come in, it does not paint a pretty picture in the slightest, mate. So obviously, we have to hope and pray that Brendan does screw the nut, and that he does somehow regain this elite status, and that's in big quotation marks for me, by the way, the elite status for him, to be totally honest. But I don't know, mate. Like, what's your opinion on this? Because for me, it's, we can have all the fucking possession we want, and we are Celtic, so we're going most of the ball. But when we're no scoring goals, with a team with Celtic, that's when alarm bells start ringing for me. We could arguably concede a goal, and I'll no start panicking really. But when a team like Celtic, with a talent we're meant to have, with the the pedigree of players compared to the rest of the league, which is dross. Like, let's not. I know we want to defend Scottish football, all the time, right? But you have to be up front and honest about this. Scottish football, besides Celtic and Hearts and maybe Rangers, on the back of who they are as a club, is absolute, pants. And it's like Liverpool playing a League One side. Like, that's the gap. Maybe even more so to compare to some of the teams like Livingston and that. So if we are sitting here no confident, because I'm no confident going at the game at the weekend against Dundee, mate. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to getting back to the football. I'm looking forward to seeing what's in store. But I can't sit here and say that I am confident for the game coming ahead this weekend. So if we're in that kind of state now, like, I don't think that for these must-win games coming up, I don't think it looks good unless some sort of miracle happens.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the comment that James McEwen there is something I'm thinking. It's like, you're talking about a lack of goals. It's a lack of chances we're even making in games. He's saying that we've averaged 1 attempt for every 6 minutes we have the ball. That ranks at 7th out of the 12 teams in the SPFL. And that's the thing. I say it's bad enough that we're struggling to score goals, but some of the games it's just been like, we're not even peppering the opposition goalkeeper with shots. So it's just like it's been hard to watch at times this season. We have to turn that around and find something. Then we have to get to January and some serious action has to happen. But again, we said that in the summer, some serious action has to happen. But I think if we're in the midst of a title race with Hearts, and if Rangers do start getting some points on the board, then I think the Celtic board, we're talking about being reactive rather than proactive. Well, if we're in a fight with 2 other teams for the title, you better hope they're bloody reactive. And by the way, just a quick segue as well, I do know some people in the chat are saying, but the Dundee game comes first. The reason we're not really focusing on that is because on a Friday night, me and Liam usually do the preview of the game. So I will be doing my talk about the Dundee game on Friday night. Because if we talk about most of it today, I'm probably going to run out of things to say on Friday. But no, we will talk about the Dundee game, and that's obviously coming up anyway. But this is the run of fixtures, the week that you talked about there, so it'll be 10 days it will cover. That Sturm Graz game, the Hearts game, and the Rangers Cup semi-final. Huge. So I say the loss to Braga has put us on the back foot now in the Europa League. For all the fans that said that we've dropped into Europa League, we can have a good run in this competition, we can do well in this competition. At the time when we dropped down, I was thinking, well, we're going to need to tool up for this because our squad doesn't look too clever. And that loss to Braga has put us on the back foot. The draw in Belgrade was good, but if you blow the home games, then that point is no good. So now we're in a position where we probably need to win an away game to make up for that. And we've got Midtjylland away, who won at Nottingham Forest in the last round of fixtures. So Midtjylland would have been the one corner that most people would have looked at and went, that's the away game where we can maybe win. Well, they beat Nottingham Forest away. So maybe Midtjylland.
I think they've also got some pretty good players as well. Obviously, Midtjylland have beat us before as well.
They have, a few years ago under Ange. We've got Feyenoord away, we've got Bologna away. So
Roma
the chance of getting Roma at Celtic Park, Sturm Graz. So Sturm Graz, ideally you would have wanted to get the point in Belgrade and win 3 of the home games against Braga, Graz, and Utrecht. And then the Roma game could be like, well, it's about a free hit, but you'd be on 10 points at that stage. But the fact we've lost to Braga, this Sturm Graz game is huge. And I know a lot of fans, they're like, no bother about the Europa League, but the club should be bloody bothered about the Europa League because 1, we're in it, so we need to make the most of it, and 2, it will contribute to the coefficient points in the next few years. If we want to get back at the Champions League corner, we have to try and get the coefficient back up. Celtic got to take it seriously, so that's a big game. Then we roll into the Hearts game, as we've talked about, must win for obvious reasons, and then a week later, that cup semi-final. At the start of the season, when we were having, obviously, the loss to Kyra over the 2 legs, the draw with Rangers, things were obviously massive cloud over the club, a poor end to the transfer window. At the time, I thought, well, a good boost would obviously results will boost the morale, but to win the first trophy of the season would be huge because it's just for Christmas. It's a good sort of launching pad. It's in the first half of the season. So this is massive because the League Cup is always that one corner that you look at and go, I sacrificed the League Cup for the greater good, but right now, with the way things are, both Celtic and Rangers, for pretty similar reasons, need to win that trophy. And it's like, we cannot allow them to get that momentum and get that trophy, especially with the state they're in right now. And we need to make sure we pick up that trophy because we need it for the same reasons, to get that momentum behind us, to get the spirits up. So this is a huge League Cup semi-final coming up as well, man.
Aye, I know you're absolutely spot on, mate. Because obviously, like under Ange's first season, like you could see the formula was there, but results necessarily weren't, there. Winning that first major trophy of the season, and like I know that you say, you would sacrifice the League Cup for the greater good of winning the league. Now, as a Celtic fan, and as a Celtic fan who expects us to win every competition domestically, winning it, I wouldn't sacrifice anything like to win like the league or that, because I don't think that should be a conversation even in the thought process at Celtic or Celtic Football Club. Like I love this comment for Square Sausage. Calmac will point us in the right direction. Do you know what I mean? Like, see if you pass forward as much as he pointed forwards. I don't think as many people would be criticising his performances this season, to be totally frank. But like the League Cup is just absolutely massive for us. I think this season, obviously, we would be favourites going into the final if we were to beat Rangers because of who would be left then in that. We would have to see. Aye, like it would be. I mean, look, if you look at that though, Hearts have already been put at League Cup, so and they have been getting away with a couple of results here and there that we mentioned before. So I don't know. I do though think with Hearts and that like they are going to have an Aberdeen, like they are going to just like crumble at some point in the season. There is no reality on this earth where Hearts have the players, the manager, or the willpower to continuously play like that through the entire course of the season. Not now. Like those days and that Hearts winning leagues and challenging for them, I think are long gone. Like we've seen that with Aberdeen. Aberdeen had a better start to the season last season than Hearts did, and you look what happened to them. Like look at where they are now. They're sitting near the relegation spot. So I think
the difference in this one though, Conor, is the owner or the guy who's investing in Hearts
Tony Bloom
and the manager, because Derek McInnes, we talk about, remember the whole jokes about Neil Lennon, he knows the city. Derek McInnes, he knows the league. Years ago I'd said like the way Hearts and Hibs go through managers, I would Derek McInnes would be the perfect fit for either of the Edinburgh teams. If they want to be a solid third place team, maybe win the occasional trophy, Derek McInnes is the guy. And Hearts took it up eventually. So that's why I think they'll differ for Aberdeen. They probably will fall away, but I think they won't. I mean, Aberdeen, as I said earlier on, they've been on a huge decline through all of 2025. They've been ridiculously bad. I can't see Hearts falling away at the point Aberdeen, but I think they've got that investment there anyway that can keep them in the fight. So keep an eye on them.
I do just hope that the fallout does come before the January window, because if we are still kind of neck and neck with Hearts, say like we go ahead and we'll go a point ahead, we beat them at Tynecastle, and maybe go like another point or two clear. If it is still that tight at the top of the table, you can bet your bottom dollar that Tony Bloom is going to put his hand in his pocket in January and try and get, Hearts back up to competing again and try and get them to overtake us again. And, it's just, it's a funny old world that we live in, when we're talking about Hearts like that. I mean, look, it's good for Scottish football seeing another team competing and all that. Like, I'm not going to lie. See if it isn't Celtic, I don't care.
No. Well, I'm selfish that and all. Like all these people saying that
I'm
they're
selfish.
enjoying this, I'm like, no.
And it does come for like it's no superiority complex, right? Because because we've earned our superiority. We didn't cheat to get it like some other clubs, and we didn't, we're kind of beloved, the world over for our fans and the club and stuff like that, and hated in some others. But we are kind of hated, I think, domestically in the league just because we do win everything and that. So, like, if you put a vote to every single other club besides Rangers that would say, right, you can get rid of Celtic right now once and for all, every single club in the league would vote to get rid of that. So, like, that's when, like, I don't take pity on teams if they're doing shite or they go down or they get fucking liquidated or whatever, like because the matter of fact is like they hate us just as much as they hate Rangers, and everybody hates Rangers. Not even Rangers like Rangers are now. So
well,
I mean, like they hate us as much, but for a totally different reason. Just because we're so successful and we're the best in the league and the most successful club in the world, and it makes them look like minnows in comparison. So, yeah, I don't really give a fuck about other teams, to be honest, and
I'm the same as you.
How good it is for the league, that. Like I don't really care. Like, give me Celtic winning the league
on a
by 30, 50, 40 points for the rest of my life, and I'll never find it boring. I'll never stop caring, and I'll never get bored of it because it is like my lifeblood, just like lording it over all the other league teams in the league.
I'm exactly. I like to be a double points figures ahead all the time, man. Like I don't like these close run title fights over the last. They pop up every few years. No, man, I like it to us to just be cruising. That's
I mean,
my
I guess a bit more exciting sometimes, when you're winning like the last gaffs to go like 3 points clear and 6 points clear, and whatever. But it sets your anxiety and your heart palpitations. It's absolutely something awful. But so like we said, we've got a League Cup semi coming up against our rivals, against the Teddy Bears. So I think like have a wee eye on them now. Like we didn't actually obsess and all that, but because they're our rivals and because they are the thing we love to hate, if you want to put it that way. We do have to have like a wee quick discussion on it because obviously Terry Vegetables, Russell Martin, the
Kevin Vegan,
the vegan warrior, is no longer with us. He was sacked during the international break after Rangers failed to win again and ran their luck very close against Falkirk. So now Rangers are on the hunt for a new manager. The cardboard cutouts of Steven Gerrard were getting taken out the bins and taken out the lofts all through Glasgow, and were then promptly fired back into the fucking bin because Steven Gerrard turned them down again.
My favourite tweet about that is somebody quite prominent. I think it may be that Tam Selleck's son or whatever, because he's quite a good wind-up merchant on Twitter. Said, just mind teddy bears that cardboard goes in the blue bin.
That's brilliant.
Fair play, man.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, like it's kind of ridiculous. So when you think about it, that they are our rivals. We have a rivals whose support were punching fucking Steven Gerrard cardboard cutouts and holding funerals for him and that, and all the rest of it, and all sorts of. We're having to dig them back out and bring them back in to try and and do you know who's done them an absolute kipper as well? Fucking Jermaine Defoe is absolutely like
I've seen something about this
strung them along a belter, cutting about, posting pictures of Instagram wearing Rangers trackies and pouring coconut water into a cup that was a crystallised, decanter, we had Rangers 55 and all this shit on it. Absolutely just pulling the legs of the Rangers fans, getting the hopeless up, because obviously Jermaine Defoe was a big part of that Rangers team under Gerrard as well. Do you know what I mean? Like he was very close part of that group as well. And for all to just come crumbling down in such hilarious fashion is, just exactly what they deserve, to be honest, because They don't deserve any happiness. They don't deserve any success. They don't deserve a decent manager. They don't deserve any money. They don't deserve to, go home at night to a warm dinner. It should be absolutely just fucking feasting full of flies, because that is what their support absolutely
That
deserves.
reminds me of that Game Brigade band a few years ago. It's like, you will win nothing, you will
Nothing,
always be nothing, you are
nothing.
nothing, or something like that, wasn't it?
Aye,
It was,
aye,
that.
like I've got that picture framed above my wall. You know what I mean?
I
I've
believe
no
that.
actually,
Funny enough, I believe that.
I've no actually, but
I don't know.
I am that, like, I'm no bitter, right? One of my best mates is a Rangers fan, but I don't dislike Rangers fans as individuals, right? That's just the wee thing. Because one of my best pals, a Rangers fan, I would generally ask him to be my best man at my wedding, right? If I was ever so to get married one day. But as a collective, I fucking hate every single thing about them. Like, I do think they're scum. I do think they're shite. I do think they're fully racist, misogynistic, homophobic people who want nothing to see us suffer, simply because majority of us are Roman Catholic Irish descendants. You know what I mean? Just for whatever reason, they just hate it. They think we're scum or the rest of it, and they think they're scum too. So much so the fact that we've got a family of Rangers fans who are not the favourites in the estate, to put it mildly, who stay right across the road from me every single day, bang on the dot, 12 o'clock, sorry, not 12 o'clock, bang on the dot, as soon as we lift that league title trophy, right up to my room, to the window at the front of the house that looks right onto theirs. I put my tricolour out the window and shine it right directly into their front living room one day. And I'm like, hello. Do you know what I mean? And I'm blasting the Rebel tunes all night and all the rest of it, because, it's no less than they deserve, to be honest. The absolute slanderous and horrible comments that they come out with upon a daily basis about us and about, the club, and about us as individuals, without knowing a single thing about us. I'm quite hypocrite saying that, but I don't really care. But, it's just bizarre, to be honest, and the fact is the matter is, like, I do think we do have some sort of moral superiority over them, you know what I mean? But, like, anyway, like, so we could be going into this game in the cup semi against them with a new manager. I think they've lined up one Kevin Muscat as the potential new manager.
It's the latest one, yeah. It seems to be a revolving door at the moment. I mean, I heard Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's name came up today, but that one quickly fizzled away. So it could change. Me on Friday night, me and Liam were on. It looked like it was going to be Steven Gerrard for them, and then it didn't happen. So at the moment, it seems to be Muscat, but they're talking about he's not available until the Chinese league season ends in 6 weeks. So they're saying that maybe Neil McCann will be the interim boss. Now, in that case, Conor, that means that Neil McCann would be in the dugout when we play them on the 2nd of November. And if, to the love of God, if Brendan Rodgers cannot beat a Neil McCann, let's say, I know Neil McCann was part of Barry Ferguson's backroom staff, and yes, Brendan Rodgers failed against that. But Neil McCann as a manager had a woeful time at Dundee. It's like a failed Dundee manager, and it's like, Brendan, if you, for the love of God, cannot get over the line against Neil McCann, if he is in the dugout on the 2nd of November, Jesus Christ, serious conversation has to be had, Conor. Has to.
I mean, Dundee's one thing, but Barry Ferguson was a fucking failed Alloa Athletic manager, and he still managed to beat Brendan Rodgers' team 3-0. Granted, the game meant nothing because it was a dead rubber and all the rest of it, whatever. But this is what I'm saying. Brendan needs to earn his corn. He needs to earn his wage back. He needs to earn the love and the support back, of the fans, because, like, the knives and pitchforks are out for the board, and they're going to be out for the board all season, possibly running over into next season as well, depending on what happens. We don't know. Which, is within our right to do so because of how badly they've mismanaged the club for years, but Brendan as a guy, he needs to get back in the good graces of the support. I don't think any of this stuff is necessarily his fault, but what happens on the pitch is down to him.
Yeah.
How the team performs, the tactics, the setup, the players, it's all down to him. There's been questions a lot about his tactics, about his bizarre substitutions, about leaving players out when they shouldn't be left out. One, Colby Donovan, as an example, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's lost the passion. I don't know if he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't know if he doesn't have the resources, if he doesn't have the confidence in the squad. I genuinely don't know what it is. But if Brendan Rodgers is half the manager in what he thinks he is, right?
Mhm.
He should win these games coming up. He shouldn't
Yeah.
just win the game against Hearts, the game against Sturm Graz, the game against Rangers. He should be winning all 5 of his next 5 games.
Mhm.
If he is in this elite bracket, which some people in other areas, fucking Celtic Twitter land, want to band him about as and have this massive loving with him and hate previous managers for whatever reason, want to pop him up on this pedestal,
Yeah.
then he needs to show it. Because so far this season, he hasn't shown a jot to me.
Yeah.
Getting papped to a team, in Champions League qualifiers, had fucking Borat sitting on the bench for them, as as it's taking the piss a wee bit. It's taking the piss.
Yeah, as I say, the record in 2025 is abysmal, and he's got to turn that around. If he is going through the motions right now, look, at the end of the season, I think most of us are ready for Brendan to disappear into the sunset, thank him for everything, but he has to end on a positive. He can't let it be a damp squib and it all just, we end up throwing this away, losing the league title and losing the other cups as well. He has to try and finish on a positive if this is going to be his last season. So to me, again, you just look at the energy that he's showing on the sidelines. He doesn't seem, he just, arms crossed, just standing there, not really reacting to stuff. I've drawn the comparison before. I think one of the Friday night shows, I says Tony Mowbray, when Tony Mowbray was in charge that season, or 9 months he was in charge, just like standing on the sideline, no real energy, not really looking that infused. And that resonated on the park because that team was an absolute fucking riot that season.
Mhm.
We were dreadful. And yeah, this season, you wanted the manager, it all comes from him. And yeah, I agree. While he's not being exactly helped by those above him and the board, and the tactics are down to him, and how the team plays down to him, even though he has tried to deflect on that one. He came out with a quote, I think, after the Rangers game and said that I'm not telling the team to play that way, even though every single game we just default
Played
into
the
that
exact
way of playing.
same.
So either he's telling us, the fans, that all the players are just going against him, which would suggest he's lost the dressing room, which I don't think is the case.
No,
Or somebody on the park is telling the team to do that, where you then look at, is it the
no.
captain? Is it Callum McGregor? It's Brendan Rodgers. He's telling them
No.
to do that, It is him.
Because if you just leave players right on their own, just see if you say to the players like, go like if they decide to listen to you and go what they're going to do, they're football players. They want to win games. If they're going to play any style of play when they're going fuck it, we're going to just play however we want, they will go full on attack on the offensive to try and win the games, try and energize the crowd, try and big their own careers up. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, football for players, for management, it's not about the love of the game anymore. It's about cash in the bank. It's about bigging up your profile. It's about continuing the rigmarole of getting job after job after job, moving up and up and up and up and up the tax bracket. That's, at the end of the day, what a good 95% of them, that's all they want.
Yeah.
So if players are just being told, go out and do what you want to do, they are going to try and put on a show. They're going to try and score. They're going to try and assist. They're going to try and do whatever's in their power to try and big themselves up to the fans, to the support, to the club, to the media, who are always watching. That's what they're going to do. So that's all coming from Brendan Rodgers. And it's like Liam calls him out. Liam calls him out every single week when he's absolute bullshit. It is an absolute bullshit snake oil merchant, to be honest. He's still our manager. I'll still back him, right?
Yeah.
I'll still back him. I'll back him until I can back him no further, right? That could come a lot sooner than what we all think it might. But until that moment in time, I'm still going to back him as much as I am frustrated and annoyed at him and quite frankly just pissed off with the fact that he's playing just such a lethargic style of football and he's not getting the best out of this team. Look, we don't have bad players. We have some bad players, but the entire team is not full of bad players. Rio Hatate, Daizen Maeda, Callum McGregor, Tynecastle is, the bright spark this season. Jota when he comes back, Alistair Johnston, guys like that. Luke McCowan, like all these guys, right? Ian Acho he was an international striker for Nigeria, and won things at Leicester. You know what I mean? They aren't bad players. I think they're just being coached badly now. And Rodgers needs to amend that error to sweet.
I mean, he's coming up against the teams that play low blocks every week, so it's like, surely to God, you've got to figure out that I need to try and come up with something to counter a low block. It's like every team's going to play that way against you, but it
But
feels like...
he did that in his first couple of seasons. The football
Oh,
was
aye.
fucking electric. Like,
Oh,
even if
the
you're
international
talking about
treble season was unreal.
his demeanour on the side of the pitch, you seen him like shouting at the team, telling them what to do, very animated, very involved, very passionate. He doesn't do that anymore.
Aye.
Like, he even kind of did it in his first season when it was a really nip and tuck season, but he was in the media, he was keying out bars,
Yeah.
he was sniping back at people and all that. It just seems just like so during the doldrums now with everything. And I don't know if it's because of the overarching kind of saga that's going on with the board and that, and maybe it's getting to him. But if it was me in that position, I'd be like saying, cool, Celtic board now are enemy number one, public enemy number one. What I need to do is get the Celtic fans on my side so
Yep.
that I'm not copping any flack. I'm not catching any strays for the fans so that all the attention is on them now and what they're fucking up. And with us in the pitch, everything's cushy. That's what he should be doing. And I know it's easy me sitting here in my chair behind my computer saying, this is what I do as a Celtic manager.
Yep.
I'll never ever be in that position. Brendan Rodgers knows more about football, than I could ever hope to know. And I understand that. But as supporters, we do have a right to comment on this. And look, supporters are not daft. Like, you're no daft, I'm no daft. Guys in the comments are not daft. I've got 2 functioning pair of eyes, whereas you've got 4, Phil. Do you know what I mean? Like we can see it with our own eyes what's happening, what's not working, and how it can change. And I just hope to God that Brendan Rodgers sees it and amends it.
Aye, and he does it suffer because he is a Celtic fan, and regardless of how he may be feeling about those above him and what they've done to him this season, and at the end of the day, he must still be like, okay, I just need to suck it up and just get this team playing the best they can so we can finish on a high and I can disappear into the sunset. But yeah, right now it's been a real slog to watch. So hopefully, they come back on Sunday against Dundee, and if you had to handpick a team to come back to, Dundee's probably a good shout, to be fair. So hopefully we can, go up there, get a really good performance, and then just use it as a launching pad going into the next few weeks, because crucial junction in the season, Conor. Crucial, mate.
Yeah. And on that note, guys, we do thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been great to be back. I've missed it a lot. Obviously, I do feel like we've managed to somehow cover quite a lot where there's been a week where there's not very much been going on in terms of Celtic. So, we pat in the back for us too in the comments, guys. Cheers.
Pulling the curtain back a wee bit earlier today, Conor was like, can you host tonight? There's so much to talk about. And I'll find you some talking points. An hour and 23 minutes we've done, Conor. See what happens, mate. It just flows. See, before we go, do you want another interesting bit of trivia before we go, since I hit you on earlier? You mentioned Kelechi Iheanacho there. I saw this on Twitter through the week, and I was like, I love this. This is the exact type of stats I love. Kelechi Iheanacho is the only player in English Premier League history to have scored on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday, all in the same season. He did it for Leicester in 2021. He scored on every day of the week. He's the only player to do it. When you mentioned Iheanacho there, it came back to me, and I was like, oh, I love trivia like that. So there's a pub quiz answer for you guys. Who's the only Premier League player to have scored on every day of the week in a single season? It's Kelechi Iheanacho. There you go. Our player, our boy.
I just hope he's got his Sunday boxers and socks on.
He better have his Sunday, exactly.
Sunday. Aye, shooting boots and all. Yeah, you know what I mean. Hope he's no mixing up his pairs and that before he comes in the changing room on the Sunday. Aye. So yeah, but thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for the live comments. We do appreciate it. Thank you for everybody who's been watching tonight live. We know you're probably up for your work in the morning. And it's the last thing you want to be doing is sitting here listening to us. Or only me talk shit for an hour and 20 minutes the night. So we do appreciate sticking with us for the time here, guys. And don't forget, guys, like, share, subscribe, comment below your thoughts. If you've got any agreements, any disagreements, any points you want to bring up, please feel free to comment it below. We do try and respond to comments and that when we can. So please don't feel like you're not being seen whenever you do interact with the channel, because obviously we know that the the fans and the viewers and that are, you know, a key integral part of that. Also, remember, become a Boys in the Bus member if you so wish. £1.99 a month, become a member. But it's been an absolute pleasure tonight, Phil. Thank you for having me on. It's been good to dust off the old cobwebs off the mic and, you know, kind of get back into things. I hope I've not been too all over the place tonight, but I do hope you've enjoyed, guys. But thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, catch you later, guys. See you.